Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of the CxO show with me, Anza Saqib, on CxO Global TV. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform for all C levels across the globe. We take massive pride in contributing to the knowledge economy with our League of Extraordinary Thought Leaders. They're not just the domain experts, but those individuals who've made a considerable amount of difference in the fields that they're working in. Today, as well, we've got an extraordinary gentleman with us. His name is Mr. Noman Khalid. He's the founding partner and COO at Love for Data Company. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. अच्छा Noman साहब, let's start from the very beginning. अभी तो आप COO position पे हैं, माशाल्लाह. But where did this professional journey begin, and how did you end up here?
Oh, okay. So it's been almost 12 years now since I've been in the industry now, and it's almost 12 years since I've been in this particular industry of data science actually. So it was taught something else in the past. Now it's taught data science, but it's been almost 12 years, 12 plus years actually, that I've been associated with the corporate life and working in one domain or other related to data sciences. Started off with what we today call back in those days it was called TRG Tech. Now it's called Affinity as well. Started off from there and then into research and then into data science. And it's been, when I look back today, it pretty much falls into place why where I was and how all of that actually added up to becoming into turning me into someone that I am today. So it's been one very interesting journey that I have had. We started LFD almost 7 years ago, but before
Right.
that, almost we spent 6 years doing data sciences. But yeah, so that's how it has been. Graduated from IBA back in 2010 and did a lot of courses on my own, studied a lot of things on my own, did a few specializations from US universities and then move on.
Brilliant, sir. Very inspiring. But Noman sahab, when you started, back then, maybe data wasn't as sought after as it is now. Especially post COVID, we've seen a surge in the need for data centers, and it is often said that data is the new oil and gold. What is your take on this comment?
Okay, so data is the present now. So a lot of people have been saying data is the future and data science is the future. I would say it's the present. It's not the future anymore. It was future 10 years ago. Now it is what the world is has moved on with, and I think that it's one of the most essential things that I think can actually deliver value all over Pakistan as so, as a nation, if you want to move forward, I think this is some domain that we can really excel in and actually gain a lot of advantage, being the nation that we are. So I think this is one very important area that we need to develop, not individually but also as a nation, because that is how we can compete anymore. And if it's any industry that you're working in, all over across the globe, everyone has started relying on data driven decision making,
I was just
data
coming to
driven.
that, sir. I was just coming to that. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt you.
so
But
to
I feel that
stay
I work,
competitive, this is what you have to do.
yeah. So in the field that I work in as well, because we're dealing with a lot of data driven decision making and looking at reports and everything. What I've noticed, though, in the context of South Asia, especially in Pakistan, is the fact that, is the fact, sorry, you had gotten tilted. So, is the fact that we have been collecting a lot of data, but it's not necessary that a lot of the small to medium enterprises or the startups here are able to collate that data, present it, and then make decisions on it. So we've got a lot of like random data points, but it becomes a challenge to sort of derive decision making from it. So what
Yes.
needs to be?
So like I said, as every company we actually need to grow and we actually need to evolve in this domain. It has to come from every sector, every executive out there who needs to pick up and build a data strategy around his company and around his initiative. Right, so that is how it is pretty much going to be from here on, where every company, every industry will drive, like you mentioned, where you're working, right? That is also very data driven. We have moved to
Yeah,
automated vehicles. We have moved to automated routing. So all of that is also data driven. So whatever
absolutely.
industry
You
we are
look at the
in, it has
fleetmatics,
to be
telematics.
data driven.
Right. So just to, if you can add to this as well, that it's not just in one particular industry. A lot of time businesses assume that it's only the banks who need data, perhaps, or it's probably cloud hosting services, or maybe those that are running ad campaigns. But I think it's very important because like even if we talk about logistics, be it trucking, be it look at the telematics, and they can actually enable us to preemptively make a lot of decisions and save up money. One of the biggest concerns, though, is especially again, I'm going to be speaking in the context of Pakistan, is this narrative where a lot of these big privately owned companies are hesitant on putting their data on the cloud, for example, or they have some certain concerns about data breach and security. What are the top three things that they should keep in mind?
Okay, so to be really honest, the cloud platforms offer a lot better security than what it would take to build that in house. So as long as you are on a reputed cloud, your data is really safe. To be honest, if you want to replicate that in your private data centers, that is going to cost you a lot more than you can perhaps even think about, and it requires a lot more technical capability in house as well. So I think the way forward has to be cloud. The and yes, we do have concerns, and a lot of those concerns actually evolve from the fact that we lack understanding of the entire infrastructure and how it operates. I think that educational aspect of cloud will actually help a lot of organizations build that faith in their cloud initiatives. So I think that if we can bring in knowledge and help them understand how this can actually be more efficient and more secure compared to what they are doing in house, I think that would help them understand that. Another thing that would actually help them understand and improve and actually be more acceptable is if we could have even one of these large international firms bring in their data centers, because I actually do align on the fact that every country should have its own data centers within their geographical boundaries, because as we mentioned, data is extremely critical, but as we move on, data is going to get the most important asset that you can own as a country, and
Mhm.
having that geographically present within your country is equally important. So yes, I think that is an understandable situation as well from one perspective, where you would want to have data centers within your geographical boundaries, but then again, from an economic perspective and from an data security perspective, you're actually a lot more
Yeah,
secure on cloud than you would be in your own data centers.
very true, very true. Thank you, sir, for making those pertinent points. Moving on, what are some of the skills and certifications related to data that you would recommend to the young professionals or mid-career professionals of today so they can remain future ready?
Okay, so that's a question that I get asked a lot. To be precise, these are two very different sets. So if you're someone who is starting your journey and you are trying to get into data science, then the most important thing that you can perhaps concentrate on is your statistics. You need to really do well in your statistics, and then you can learn computer programming. Machine learning is
Power
another.
BI.
Machine learning is just an add-on to statistics. So you know as many people who ask me this question, if they are fresh, if they are just starting off, I tell them, you need to do really well in your statistics. You need to really learn that domain because that is what it is. But if you are someone who is mid-career, who is already, spent like 10 years in this industry and now want to switch to data side, the most important thing that you need to understand is how data can facilitate the industry you are in or whatever industry you are planning to switch to. You don't need to, build specific data science capabilities yourself. You can always hire people, but what
So
you
you
can
don't need to know how
actually
to write Python scripts, right?
you don't need to get into that. If you're someone who is 10 years, 15 years experience, what you really need to focus on is how you can evolve your field, your industry from a data science perspective, because that will help you become the kind of leadership as well that we need. Right
Yeah.
now we have a lot of people who are learning data science. We don't have a lot of leaders who understand data science. So, building that capability is equally important. Not everyone should get into Python development or R development for that matter.
Yeah.
We also need a lot of leadership in this domain, and that needs to come from experienced people who understand what data science is and how that data science can be applied to their industry. I think that is equally important.
Right. So moving on, since you mentioned leadership and mashallah, you are a COO. What sort of a leader are you? Are you an autocratic leader? Are you a democratic leader? Do you lead by example?
That that's actually a tough one. That's something that should be posed to my company actually. Um, what I would think about myself, I think I want to empower a lot more people because that is the only way you can grow. If you want to build large successful companies, the only way to grow and build those companies is to have democratic leadership where people are empowered, where employees are empowered to make decisions and that serve in the best interest of the company. Yes, they will make mistakes, but we should be willing to forgive them because that is the only way to actually grow and build a large company. You can't have large enterprises in the current world
Right.
with authoritarian leadership, actually.
Very true. Very pertinent. So a little bit about your personal life. What is it about you? Maybe one fact that we can't gauge from your LinkedIn profile.
Okay, that's an interesting question. Um, I think what my LinkedIn profile doesn't tell me, I think I'm a very hard negotiator. I think that would be an interesting add-on. I think which I can perhaps add, or maybe I think I'm very open to new ideas as well, which perhaps is
On your
um, not
Thank you,
reflective
sir.
on.
Thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor speaking to you today. Please keep contributing to the knowledge economy. But before I let you go, I have one final question for today's interview. What do you think is the utility of forums like CxO Global?
I think my personal perspective and why I also joined, I think this is something which will actually help build a very strong network. And there are very few networking opportunities available. So anything like this forum that I can, perhaps that can perhaps be used. I think that is going to be very useful for the industry as it matures because this is one very important networking forum that you and your team are building, and hats off to you for doing it actually.
Thank you so much. And sir, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Pleasure.
You. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Please stay tuned. We'll have another very special guest next time. If you have any comments and feedback, please keep us updated. And if you want to learn more about CxO, please log on to www.cxoforum.global.
Bye bye.